Have you ever stood at the edge of something really scary, looking down and thought, nope, I can't do this? It's a completely normal reaction. When we're asked to do something that feels way too big for us, our first instinct is usually to turn around and run. Thousands of years ago, a real person named Joshua felt that exact same wave of panic. See, courage doesn't mean you aren't afraid. Real courage is feeling completely terrified, totally unqualified, and choosing to take a step forward anyway. Joshua had just been given what might be the hardest job in ancient history. He was asked to take over leadership of the Israelites from their legendary leader Moses. This graphic illustrates the problem. Moses was a giant, glowing legend who parted the Red Sea. Next to him, Joshua was just a regular guy. Those are incredibly intimidating shoes to fill. The job didn't start easy. Immediately in front of Joshua and his people was the Jordan River, and the water was rushing fast and deep. Even if they managed to get across the water, they would be standing right in front of the city of Jericho, which was surrounded by massive stone walls that nobody had ever been able to break through. Joshua didn't have any hidden superpowers to part a river or smash through solid boulders. On his own, he was completely stuck. God knew exactly how scared Joshua was, so he stepped in and gave Joshua a direct message. He told him, "Be strong and of a good courage." God didn't tell Joshua to be brave because Joshua was strong enough to handle it alone. He told Joshua to be brave because he promised to be right there with him wherever he went. Knowing God as your teammate shifts the weight. The pressure isn't resting on Joshua's shoulders anymore. It's shared with someone who has all the power in the world. But having God as your teammate requires action. When the Israelites got to the banks of the rushing Jordan River, the water didn't safely dry up while they watched from the shore. Instead, Joshua had to ask the priests to walk directly into the dangerous, raging water first. Imagine the trust it takes to do that. They had to step toward the danger without actually seeing how they were going to be saved. But right as their feet dipped into the rushing river, the water stopped flowing. The ground dried up, and they crossed safely. To experience the wonders God can do for us, we often have to be willing to take that scary physical first step into the unknown. Once across the river, they still had to figure out how to get past the massive walled city of Jericho. Here is God's battle plan. Instead of weapons, he told them to walk outside the city, tracing a single path around the massive walls. As the daily route multiplies on the map, you can imagine marching in circles felt pretty silly to an army. On the seventh day, they marched 7 times, blew their horns, and shouted. Instantly, those massive stone walls crumbled to dust. At Jericho, the Israelites saw exactly what happens when you follow God's lead. Simple obedience is what invited that massive power to knock those walls down. You probably won't have to cross a rushing river or shout at a wall anytime soon, but you'll face giant obstacles, like starting a new school, trying a hard test, or standing up for a friend. At the very end of his life, Joshua gave his people one final challenge. Choose you this day whom ye will serve. That is an invitation for you too. When you stand at the edge of your own scary obstacles, you get to choose who you are going to trust. So when fear hits you this week, take a deep breath. Remember Joshua and try to take just one brave step forward, because you never have to be brave all by yourself. Remember that God is right there with you.